personal now that we're on to the 6th installment in the semi-long-running found footage franchise starring Turner Clay, and things have changed up quite a bit for the Blackwell Ghost 6, so let's get crackin'. Sometime between the events of the 5th and 6th Blackwell Ghost film, Turner's wife died of cancer, leaving Turner to raise their 2 kids alone, but that does not stop the paranormal activity. He soon receives a mysterious package in the mail of a musical keyboard, something that used to belong to his wife years before, and it now seems to be haunted. After he received the package, things around his house begin to go bump in the night. Is it his wife trying to talk to him from beyond the grave? So let's just break this down a little bit further. The first 2 movies in this series dealt with the titular Blackwell Ghost in the Blackwell house. Then the 3rd, 4th, and 5th movie dealt with the Lightfoot Ghost in the Lightfoot house. And now we've done it again. We've changed locations. This time it's what? The Clay Ghost in the Clay house? I mean, partially yes, but partially no, because the Lightfoot Ghost mystery definitely still has a solid stake in this movie as well. And the direction that the story takes does something that I thought they would actually do at the end of the 2nd movie. I don't want to give that away because I think that it also might be considered a spoiler, so I will save that for the review of the 7th installment if I remember to bring it up. But yeah, Blackwell Ghost 6 killed off Terry, his wife. On one hand, that kind of just seems to me like the actress didn't want to continue with the series indefinitely, and so they had to kill her off. But then again, they have kids together. Young kids. There's baby seats in the car, there's family images of everybody together holding the kids, including Terry. There are images from their wedding. All this. That's the part of the movie that once again just seems legit. Little things, that are technically very hard to fake, especially with such a small budget. If those aren't his babies, then whose are they? And are those family images real? Are they photoshopped? Or what? There's not many answers there. I find it pretty impressive this deep into the series as to how Turner Clay is able to consistently do all these little things in his films that keep that mystery alive, and have just enough suspension of disbelief to believe that even if the movies are indeed fictional, there's things here and there sprinkled throughout that are indeed legit, probably. And if you ever try to find this guy on social media, you can't. You can't find him, you can't find Terry, you can't find anybody else in the movies. You just can't. He's a ghost. And when you have such a hard time finding these people, that kind of helps the movies feel a little bit more real. Also, before, we had only seen glimpses of his own residence, because he'd spend a majority of his time at the Blackwell Ghost house or the Lightfoot Ghost house, not his own. So anytime that we'd see him in his own house, I was pretty convinced that it was like the basement or the garage of the Blackwell house or the Lightfoot house. But no, I mean, in this movie you get to see his house in its entirety. You see a lot of it, and it's not the Blackwell house or the Lightfoot. It's a 3rd house entirely. So honestly, I don't really know what to think, you know? Maybe these movies have more of a budget than I thought, and maybe, just maybe they're real. Just kidding. Yeah, I enjoyed this movie though. The last few films have done a pretty great job overall with the mystery aspect, as I've mentioned in my other reviews, you know, lots of puzzles that he has to figure out. Maybe if you're paying close enough attention, you will be able to spot the answer to those questions before he does. You do get that here as well, but not as much, because I think that it was trying to be a little bit more down to earth and emotional, given the fact that we're dealing with the death of a loved one. And you know, kids are somewhat involved as well, but the mystery is still there. I do think that in a way he was trying to end the series here though. The other films have ended with a to be continued, while this doesn't. Yet there is also a 7th film out there, which I'll be taking a look at next week, so stay tuned for that. But overall, I found this movie to be a strong installment that does a pretty good job overall changing things up while still being connected to everything else, as any good horror franchise should do. I think that the performances were fine, although I could have used a little more grief from Turner given the fact that he's dealing with the death of his wife. He's more of a silly actor overall, and I get that he was trying to be a little bit more down to earth, dramatic, and sincere, but you have to understand that this movie is truly deeply rooted in the supposed and sudden death of his wife, which is something that just keeps getting brought back up. And I didn't believe a ton of his performance, given that I think it would have been a little bit more believable and realistic if he acted absolutely broken in this movie, which he doesn't. But not everybody is a Hollywood actor trained in that kind of performance, so, I get it, but still. Let's take a look at my final score for the Blackwell Ghost 6, which I rated a B+ letter grade. Final overall score of 81%. 81 out of 100 possible stars, which, that's right up there with practically every other film in the series that I've rated, which just says consistent, consistent, consistent. I'm incredibly curious on where we go from here, but until then, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this film series as a whole. Which one's your favorite? Where do you rank the 6th movie? As for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review for the Blackwell Ghost series. And until then, peace out.